He's beaten Federer. He's beaten Nadal. He's beaten Djokovic. And yet, at every Grand Slam, Alexander Zverev walks on court with the same question hanging over his career. Why hasn't it happened yet? Because Alexander Zverev isn't chasing opponents anymore. He's chasing an escape from the word that haunts careers. Almost. Tennis history is ruthless. The sport doesn't remember potential. It remembers moments. Zverev has played over 400 tour-level matches. He's beaten Federer, Nadal, Djokovic. He's won Olympic gold in Tokyo, dismantling Novak Djokovic 6-1, 6-3 in the semifinal. But when tennis fans talk about the greats of this era, they talk about Grand Slam champions. And Zverev doesn't have one. Every slam now isn't just a tournament. It's a trial. A referendum on whether his career will be remembered as destiny fulfilled or promise that never quite crossed the line. By the end of this video, you'll understand why Zverev's pressure isn't about talent, injuries, or bad luck. It's about time. And why the most dangerous opponent he faces at Grand Slams isn't across the net. It's inside his own legacy. Picture this. Arthur Ashe Stadium, US Open Final, 2020. Zverev leads Dominic Thiem 2-0. 2 sets. No big three, no excuses. History waiting. And then, slowly, the air leaves the building. Thiem comes back. Zverev tightens. The match slips. 5 sets later, the trophy is gone. And something else disappears with it. Innocence. The weight of expectations. At some point, potential turns into pressure, and pressure demands answers. Alexander Zverev was never supposed to be patient. From the beginning, the timeline was aggressive. Born into a tennis family in Hamburg, trained by his father who had competed at a high level himself, Zverev didn't grow into the sport. He was raised inside it. The expectations weren't whispered. They were spoken out loud. Junior world number 1, ATP titles before 20, Masters champion by 21. By the time he beat Novak Djokovic to win the 2018 ATP Finals, the narrative felt settled. This was the future. But Grand Slams refused to cooperate. The deeper he went, the heavier it became. The 2020 US Open Final should have been the coronation. 2 sets up against Dominic Thiem, no big three in the way, history waiting patiently. Instead, it became the moment the word almost attached itself to his career. Since then, every slam has felt less like opportunity and more like judgment. Because while Carlos Alcaraz broke through, while Jannik Sinner broke through, while Daniil Medvedev rewrote his own story, Zverev stayed exactly where tennis is most cruel. Close enough to touch it, never close enough to hold it. At some point, the question changes. Not, can he win one? But, how many chances does time actually give? The fragile body problem. You can be healed and still not feel whole. Paris, 2022. Roland Garros semifinal. Zverev versus Nadal. A brutal physical match. Long rallies, heavy legs, and then, in a third-set tiebreak, a slip. The scream echoed louder than the stadium. The ankle injury wasn't just severe, it was transformative. Ligaments torn. Season ended instantly. Momentum erased overnight. Zverev did everything right afterward. Rehab, recovery, discipline. He returned faster than expected. He rebuilt his ranking. He even reached another Grand Slam final at the 2024 French Open. But elite tennis doesn't just demand recovery, it demands trust. Watch Zverev closely now, especially on hard courts. The hesitation on wide slides, the split-second delay on defensive sprints, the extra step before committing fully. His game is built on elastic movement, counterpunching, and fearless court coverage. But fear doesn't announce itself loudly. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it looks like caution. And at Grand Slams, caution costs points. Points cost matches. Matches cost legacies. The mental and emotional battlefield. Talent wins matches. Control wins eras. Zverev's most important battles don't always happen on the baseline. They happen between points. The long walks to the towel, the looks toward the player box, the conversations no one else can hear. Under pressure, his emotions surface visibly. Double faults arrive at the worst moments. Momentum swings feel heavier. Confidence leaks instead of snaps back. And the media notices. Questions sharpen. Narratives harden. Every slam loss becomes psychological evidence. Zverev has pushed back, publicly, defensively, often forcefully. But that tension creates a cycle. The more he explains, the more the spotlight tightens. Because history shows us something uncomfortable. Champions don't just execute better. They breathe differently when everything is on the line. At Grand Slams, oxygen disappears quickly. And the players who survive aren't always the most talented. They're the most regulated. That difference is invisible on the scoreboard, but it defines careers. Reputation, redemption, and the public eye. Some players chase titles. Others chase forgiveness, from the crowd, the sport, and themselves. Zverev's legacy isn't shaped by tennis alone. Off-court controversies, resolved legally but never erased publicly, still follow him into stadiums. They linger in commentary. They color crowd reactions. Some applause is quieter. Some silence feels louder. In modern tennis, perception travels faster than results. And Zverev has had to compete with something few players face consistently: conditional acceptance. Win, and it's complicated. Lose, and it's amplified. And yet, he keeps returning. Season after season. Tournament after tournament. Because redemption in tennis doesn't come through statements or explanations. It comes through moments. One slam, one run, one release. The kind that doesn't erase the past, but reframes it. And the question that now defines Alexander Zverev's career isn't whether he can still win a Grand Slam. It's whether the moment arrives before time decides for him. Zverev teaches us something brutal about elite sport. Talent gets you invited, but timing decides everything. He has the game, he has the resume, he has the moments. What he's missing is the release. The one slam where pressure turns into freedom, and history finally exhales. Maybe Zverev wins one, maybe he wins more, or maybe his story becomes a warning etched into tennis history. That greatness doesn't wait forever, because in this sport, time doesn't care how good you are. If this is the kind of tennis storytelling you live for, the moments beneath the matches, subscribe to Game Set Match. Because legends aren't just made on scoreboards, they're decided in moments like this.